Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wiggins 77 True Crime. Thank you for joining us. Everyone is welcome. And just in case this is your first time joining us here at Wiggins 77, just to let you know, we discuss a multitude of topics with our primary focus on true crime. We explore all types of cases, missing person cases, unsolved cold cases, and current cases pending in the courts. It is important to us at Wiggins 77 True Crime to not be a contributor to the misinformation highway, but to dispel the myths and present only the facts of each case. Ever wonder why so many criminal cases go unsolved or why innocent people get convicted for a crime they didn't commit? The answer to these two questions can be complicated according to some. However, from the answer, some, it's simple. People involved in investigations from the start forget three very simple principles. Remember what Sir Arthur Conan Doyle so eloquently wrote Sherlock Holmes said, when you have eliminated all which is impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. There's also the KISS principle, which is keep it simple, stupid, and the devil is in the details. Please join me once again as we go on this journey to solve the case, collecting clues along the way. Please keep in the back of your mind these three principles. This episode, we are going to continue with the Benet Ramsey 27-year-old cold case, which occurred in December 1996. Just to quickly recap and to bring any new listeners up to speed, this particular case over the years has spawned so much misinformation that was first disseminated by the police to the press and public, beginning the very day the crime was discovered. Unfortunately, over the years, people have come to believe this misinformation that has continually been repeated to this day. We are going to continue to replace the myths surrounding this case with the facts, supported by factual documentation. So if you are new to joining us, welcome, and please listen to the first episode to discover what we've learned so far. Okay, the first myth we're going to dispel today in this episode is myth number 3. The house was a maze. Now, we left off in the last episode with the butler pantry door. So to give you what I hope will be a clear picture of how easy it is to maneuver around this house, this first slide is the layout of the first floor. Now, when looking at floor plans, they unfortunately give the impression there are walls when there are actual walkthroughs, which are trimmed doorways with no doors, which is where you see the three yellow arrows pointed to. First, when you enter the front door of this home, to the right are the stairs that take you to the second floor. If you walk past the front stairs, turn right, you go down 3 steps on the right is the door to the basement. That's where the green arrow is pointing. Then, straight ahead is the outside wall, and to the right is the door to the first floor bathroom. Also next to the door to the basement, then to the left, so you need to pass that basement door to get to the first floor bathroom. Okay, to that at the front of the house. Then, if you look to your left, is the angled stairs that go down to the butler pantry. Now, most two-story homes, the stairs to the basement are always under the stairs to the second floor. Doesn't matter if you live in a two-story townhouse or a two-story detached home. This is fact. Therefore, all this chatter the basement door was difficult to find, so it had to be the parents, is pure rubbish. If you live in a two-story home, ask yourself, where are your stairs to the basement? This is what I mean when I say there was a lack of logic applied to this crime scene. On the floor plans, you also see the position of the angled stairs down to the butler pantry. The butler pantry exterior door on the right, then the straight stairs leading to the back hallway, the end at the base of the spiral staircase. This next slide is a photograph of the butler pantry. You see the door on the left, then the angled staircase to the front of the house on the right. The second photograph depicts what you would see when you ascend the angled stairs. On the left, you get a glimpse of the door to the bathroom, and on the right, you get a glimpse of the bottom of the door to the basement. These photographs demonstrate how easy it is to walk around this house and what a short distance it actually is from the butler pantry door to the door to the basement. Looking at this second photograph confirms that anyone who had ever been in this house and used that bathroom would most certainly have known where the door to the basement was, as you see the basement door on your way to the bathroom, regardless if you travel from the butler pantry up the angled stairs or you travel down the 3 steps from the other parts of the house. This next photograph depicts the bathroom you caught a glimpse of the doorway to in the previous photograph. In the next photograph is the door to the basement, which is next to the door to the bathroom. In this photograph, you also see the 3 steps that take you to the front hall of the house, a short distance to the front door. Now that you see the actual interior of the house, which I hope has given you insight through a red bearing, just to throw a red herring at you, sorry about that, you think about this. The killer exits the basement, walks the 3 short steps up to the main entrance hall, then a few short steps he walks out the front door. Remember, the front door is self-locking, as well as the front walkway was clear of any snow. The other option is the killer simply exited the house through the butler pantry door the same way he entered the house. Please remember what Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wrote, along with the KISS principle. Just some food for thought. I would really like to know what your thoughts are on these possibilities. The next photograph is a screenshot from the police crime scene video that was taken the evening of December 26, 1996. Now, I have to mention this, that video cameras at this point in 1996 have been used for decades. However, the chap that shot the crime scene video of the Ramsey crime scene, he couldn't have been a professional videographer, as half the time he never even turned the lights on in the room he was videotaping, which missed important details when a crime scene is not videotaped properly. But however, putting that aside, this photograph depicts on the right, the front door, you see the Christmas wreath on the door. On the right, you see the top of the post of the staircase that leads to the second floor. Straight ahead, you see the kitchen. You see the grandfather clock against the wall. When you walk past that grandfather clock, to the right are the 3 steps down that lead to the basement door and the bathroom, then to the angled stairs down to the butler pantry. It is difficult to see in this photograph as the lights were not on. So the second photograph is like a close-up of that area, and you can maybe see a bit better, not a lot. This photograph is a screen capture from an A&E Investigative Reports with Bill Curtis. For those of you that are not familiar with who he is, Bill Curtis was the Walter Cronkite for true crime documentaries. This documentary was filmed in August of 2000. This photograph gives you a better perspective of the same area. As you can see, it is a short distance from the front door to the basement door. Now, I'm sorry for the poor quality of the next 2 photographs, but they were the only photographs that I could find that depict the same area where you can actually see the short distance between the front door and the hall that leads to the basement door. On the left, you see the flowered board wallpaper of the entranceway, right at the front door. On the left, straight ahead, you see the floor of the kitchen. On the right, see the base of the stairs that lead to the second floor. Then on the right, beyond the stairs, you see the wall with the striped wallpaper. Behind that wall is the 3 stairs down to the basement door. It was reported in the press that this was a massive mansion, when in reality, as you can see for yourself, while the total house was large, this was due to the large room sizes. and the fact the house was 3 stories. The distance from the front door to the basement door is approximately 18 feet, while the distance from the basement door to the butler pantry door is approximately 14 feet. To walk 18 feet would take the average person 10 seconds, while walking the 14 feet would take the average person 7 seconds. This is fact. While the impression is left that it was complicated for the killer to enter and maneuver about the house. As you can see for yourself from the photographs, that simply isn't true. As you will see in the next slide, how easy it was for the killer to enter the house, snatch Jean Benet from her bed, then take her to the basement. The top of the photograph, the red arrow points to the first step of the spiral staircase. The blue arrow is pointing at the butler pantry door. This photograph is a close-up taken from standing at the base of the angled staircase. This photograph demonstrates how quick and easy it is to enter the butler pantry door, ascend the stairs to Jean Benet's bedroom. Okay, in this picture, on the left side of the photograph, on the right side of the photograph with the crime scene tape, is the door to Jean Benet's bedroom. That's where the red arrow is. Middle of the photograph are the stairs to the 3rd floor, blue arrow. To the left of the photograph are the spiral staircase that leads to the back hallway, also to the butler pantry, green arrow. Notice the wall sconce light on the wall above the spiral staircase, yellow arrow. The Ramseys told police they always leave that light on during the night, like a night light. As you can see for yourself what a short distance this is, as Jean Benet's bedroom door was at the top of the spiral staircase. No need to walk past anyone else's room to arrive at Jean Benet's bedroom door. It is a straight path from the butler pantry door up the stairs to Jean Benet's bedroom, then back down the stairs along the butler pantry door or pantry to the basement door, without passing any other rooms in the house. In a future episode, we will discuss how quick the entire trip would be, as this is our probable. Okay, just to recap, we determined in the first episode with visual facts the intruder could approach and enter the house. Now we have with logic and visual facts confirmed that it is possible for an intruder to have entered through possibly the butler pantry door, ascended the stairs, snatched Jean Benet, carry her back down the stairs, then onto the basement, without passing any other room in the house. We also, with visual facts, determined that either the killer possibly exited the house after the crime was committed, either through the front door or back through the butler pantry door, from which the perpetrator entered, which is the most likely route the perpetrator took. We have dispelled myth number 3, the house was a maze, by carefully examining photographs of the actual rooms, along with the traffic patterns through the house. Now that we have dispelled the myth, the basement door was difficult to find and the house was a maze, let's get on with dispelling myth number 4. The parents did it because Jean Benet wet the bed. This will be a quick one to dispel. The top photograph is of Jean Benet's bed, while the second photograph is a close-up photograph of that same picture. As you can clearly see for yourself, there are no urine stains on the bedsheet, which was later confirmed by forensics analysis of the bedsheets. There was no presence of urine found on Jean Benet's bedsheets. This is fact. You can access the actual forensic reports on the internet to read for yourself. The Boulder police received the forensic report in the middle of January 1997, which was like just 2-3 weeks after the discovery of Jean Benet's body. It boggles my mind how no less than 24 people entered Jean Benet's bedroom between the hours of 6 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. on December 26th, before the police finally sealed the room, couldn't see that there were no urine stains on the bed sheets and there was no smell of urine on the bed sheets. What the devil were all these law enforcement people? Blind Bobs wearing nose plugs? It doesn't matter if I wee the bed or you wee the bed, there will be urine stains and the bed sheets will smell. Like, that's a fact. You can't get away from that. Despite these facts, to this day, those same people, including past and present law enforcement officials, claim the parents killed Jean Benet for wetting the bed. What is tragic is people believe this claim when the facts clearly demonstrate the claim to be false. Some of you may be thinking the parents changed the sheets. We're getting ahead of ourselves. However, further forensic analysis completed on Jean Benet's bed sheets found fibers on the bed sheets that matched fibers from the clothing that Jean Benet was found wearing when her body was discovered. The forensic people, through their analysis, determined that no, the bed sheets had not been changed. Once again, we must apply logic to the crime scene. In the photographs, we can clearly see no urine stains. We can also see that the bed sheets have not been changed. Let's look at all the items on the bed. Anyone who has ever changed their bed sheets can clearly see the difference. As an example, look at the way the bed sheets are not flat, but appear to have been moved by someone sleeping on them. This is a bit difficult to describe. When you sleep in a bed, the sheets move around. They do not stay straight or flat, or at least mine don't. Whichever way, whichever way you wish to describe it, they sort of form like little hills. You can see what I mean in the bottom photograph. Now put your investigator hat on again, as you now see for yourself that there is no urine stains on the bed sheets. You should correct your colleagues when they attempt to tell you the parents did because their daughter wet the bed, as it simply isn't true, which later on will be confirmed by forensic reports. As the child did not wet the bed, the only motive for the disappearance of Jean Benet appears to be she was kidnapped for ransom. So let's turn our attention to the ransom note, which is myth number 5. The parents wrote the ransom note, and specifically, the police went after Patsy Ramsey for this. Okay, you see the picture of the ransom note? Okay, I want to make this very clear. This is a staged photograph of the Ramsey note. I have never been able to find an actual crime scene photograph of the ransom note. When the first police officer arrived on scene, Patsy Ramsey showed the officer where and how she found the note. Patsy stated that she found the note on the stair on the right side, one page on top of the other, with the edge of the previous page sticking out. The myth is that the ransom note was placed on the stairs as it is in this staged photograph. Therefore, the parents wrote it, which is false, as that is not how the ransom note was actually found. I'm not going to read this ransom note, but here it is. I hope you can read it. As you can see, it's all over the internet anyway, if you'd like to look. As you can see, the note is actually 2.5 pages long of written words, not the 3 pages of written words reported in press. A good investigator, when reading this ransom note, will really come to realize that this is a red herring, that this note was written to confuse and not for monetary gain. There are 2 specific lines in the note that give you the clues. The first clue is in the line, "I will call you between 8 and 10 a.m. tomorrow." This line tells you that the note was previously written prior to the disappearance of Jean Benet, which tells you the perpetrator has pre-planned this, waiting for the opportunity to act upon their plan. This line also tells you, with the lack of specificity, sorry folks, specificity, without being specific, there we go, sorry about that, on what day tomorrow actually is, that the author of the ransom note had no intention of collecting any money whatsoever. The second clue is the line, "She is safe and unharmed," if you want her to see 1997. At this stage, when the law enforcement officials are reading this note, Jean Benet is missing. No one has discovered her deceased in the basement. So what this line in the note tells us is the intent of the perpetrator was not to kill Champagnet. When you read the entire note, you realize it was written as a cruel ruse rather than a serious ransom demand. In a future episode, we will discuss what the perpetrator's true intent with Jean-Benet was. As an investigator, you need to take the note at face value during the event. However, once Jean-Benet was discovered deceased, although the ransom note needed to be investigated, the note should have been viewed for what it actually was, written as a cruel ruse and nothing more. So many people, including law enforcement, had handled the note without wearing gloves. Yet, there were no fingerprints found of forensic value on the note. The contents of the note give us a few clues as to the identity of the author. Due to the rubbish content of the note, demonstrates an immature, most likely a teen or preteen. Has lines of sight the Ramsey home. This is most likely factual, as there is always a kernel of truth in what people say or write. The line in the note, proper burial, is possibly of the Catholic religion, as the term is often used by people of the Catholic religion, as proper refers to consecrated. The majority of the note is rubbish, written for the author's amusement and to distract everyone, which sadly it did, as there was too much time spent focusing on proving Patsy Ramsey wrote the note, which she did not, and not enough time focusing on who actually kidnapped and killed Champagnet. I'm going to read you an excerpt from the book Every Day is a Gift, that is a well-researched book written about the Ramsey case that points out why it was obvious from the start that Patsy Ramsey did not write the ransom note and why the police should have focused their attention elsewhere. Secret Service experts determined early on that this is fact, by the way, Secret Service experts determined early on that while there were similarities to Patsy Ramsey's handwriting and the author of the ransom note, there were many differences. The differences far outweighed the similarities. When examining handwriting, you cannot just look at the letters. You must include the sentence structure, spelling, etc. Patsy had a degree in journalism. In the ransom note, a portion of one line is "a earlier." At her age, with her education, she would have written the two words correctly, "an earlier," because it would be second nature for her to do so. The author of the book goes into detail all the other facts as to why it is a myth that Patsy Ramsey wrote the ransom note, as well as in regards to why handwriting experts are a part of a flawed science when they only compare how a letter is formed. The author of the book details the example using the case of Unabomber. He was caught as his brother, although he didn't recognize the handwriting. He recognized his brother's writing style, his sentence structure. We know for fact that no one in the Ramsey family wrote the ransom note. And if anybody's interested in purchasing the book Every Day as a Gift, please send me an email at ybentleyddavidson@outlook.com. Okay, the next myth in regards to the ransom note we will dispel with fact is the pen that the ransom note was written with was found in a container on a counter in the Ramsey kitchen. I am going to read another excerpt from the book Every Day is a Gift in regards to that myth. The police and press would take this to mean that the ransom note was written with the pen found in the container on the counter near the telephone in the kitchen. This is an absurd assumption. First, because the victim's advocates cleaned the kitchen area the morning of December 26, and who knows who put that pen in the container. Second, because in the manufacturing of pens, thousands of pens are made with the same ink batch. An example is all the people who purchase pens from Walmart in the same time period, chances are if you tested the ink in all those pens, they would match. because they were all made from the same ink batch. You cannot match an exact pen to the ransom note. All you can do is match the ink. Therefore, any pen made from the same ink batch could have been the pen that was used to write the ransom note. The Riley family housekeeper turned over to police writing pads the same as the writing pad the ransom note was written on, as well as several pens. The housekeeper admitted to police that she had taken the writing pads and pens from the Riley home to the murder. Prior to the murder, okay, Declan believes the killer did the same, took a pen and writing pad from the Riley home. Now, really, Riley is Ramsey's. Wrote the ransom note in advance, then returned the pad to the Riley home. Sometimes the simplest explanation is the correct one. Now, the author of this book, Every Day is a Gift, does not use the people involved in the Ramsey case real names. As example, Riley is actually Ramsey. So, keep that in mind. However, the evidence detailed in the book is factual. The fact is you cannot match a single pen to the pen that the ransom note was written with. Once again, as a good investigator, logic must be applied so that you have the time to focus on facts that will assist you in solving the case. What this does tell us is the perpetrator is local. We have determined through the fact that the ransom note was written prior to the crime being committed, although we do not know for certain when. One way you could narrow who the author of the ransom note was is to take the brand of pen in the Ramsey home that was determined to have the same ink as the ink on the ransom note, go to the manufacturer, find out what batch of pens were made with the identical ink, and where were they sold. When you find out where they were sold in the Boulder area, contact the merchants in that area to determine if they can track who purchased all those pens. This could have been a good lead at the time, as someone in the neighborhood of the Ramsey home may have had the same pen that could have been investigated further. However, too much time has passed and this is now a lost lead. Okay, this is a photograph of that back hallway. Now, the red arrow is pointing to the actual notepad the ransom note was written on. This is not a crime scene photograph. This photograph is labeled number 17-7 is a photograph of the notepaper pad the ransom note was written on. This photograph was taken inadvertently by John Ramsey when he was using up the balance of the film in his camera in order to take the roll of film out of his camera to give police. Now that's back before digital cameras, folks. The first person to take notice of this photograph's existence was Lou Schmidt, as this is the only photograph of the original place this notepad the ransom note was written on was the morning of the kidnapping prior to John giving the notepad to police. This is the actual crime scene photograph taken of the same table sometime after John gave the writing pad to police, but prior to 9:15 a.m., as the police photographer left the Ramsey home at approximately 9:15 a.m. In a future episode, we will discuss the fact that none of the crime scene photographs nor the crime scene video are accurate. In addition to the inaccuracy of the crime scene photographs and crime scene video, so too is the police timeline of the chain of events of that day. The police sergeant that took the writing pads from John Ramsey wrote in his report that he arrived at the Ramsey home at 9:15 and left at 10 a.m., while we have the police photographer arriving at 6:45 a.m. and leaving at 9:15 a.m., which is impossible as the crime scene photograph of the back hall glass table was taken after John Ramsey gave the notepad to the sergeant. Just some food for thought for our next episode. Please keep those thoughts in mind as I look forward to presenting our next episode, where we will dispel the remaining most popular myths surrounding the case. Then we can begin to collect the clues to solve the case. So our next myths we are going to dispel are the flashlight was the murder weapon, the mode of John Benet wet the bed and staging of the crime scene. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to all feedback. Please leave feedback in the comments section. You are welcome to email me your feedback at ybentleydavidson@outlook.com. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. It's free. Until next time, wish you all the best.